Hey there folks, Tim Slade here, and welcome back to the ATD Ask a Trainer video series. In today's episode, I am answering your questions about growing your e-learning design and development skills. So let's get started. Since I started as an e-learning designer over a decade ago, there's always been a healthy and steady number of folks wanting to grow their e-learning design and development skills within our industry. And much of this is due to the fact that so many of the tools that we use to create e-learning content have become more and more accessible to a wider audience. Gone are the days when you'd have to practically have the same knowledge and expertise as a web developer to create e-learning content. And I have to say, if 2020 has taught me anything, the ability to be a good e-learning designer is top priority for employers and job seekers alike. And well, this is especially true with so much learning content now being adapted for digital delivery. So with that said, let's get to your questions about growing your e-learning design and development skills. All right, so our first question comes from Jennifer Tully. Hey, Jennifer. And Jennifer wants to know, what are some free or low-cost ways I can develop my e-learning skills? Well, first off, thanks for submitting a question, Jennifer. And I really like this question because I think so many folks, especially folks who are new to our industry, underestimate how many resources and people there are out there to develop your skills. So the first thing I will tell you is whether you use YouTube or LinkedIn or you go on Twitter or any of the online communities, you're bound to run into somebody out there who has something that they can share to help you. There are so many blogs, YouTube channels, and tons and tons and tons of free content. And so what I would encourage you to do is get involved in the community, take in that information, share what you're doing, get feedback from others, and through that process, I promise you will develop your skills. Beyond that, the other thing that I always recommend that people do is practice developing e-learning content on your own time. The truth is that the projects you work on at work are probably not as exciting as you would like them to be, at least for the topics, and you're probably not, or you probably don't feel like you have the leeway to take as much creative, liberties or creative freedom as you would otherwise. So one of the things I encourage you to do is pick a random topic. It could be anything, and use whatever e-learning authoring tool you have available to you, whether that's Storyline or Adobe Captivate or anything else, and build a course based off that topic. Research it and build a course. And the beauty of doing that is that you can do whatever you want. You're not under the constraints of your stakeholders and subject matter experts. And so practice building e-learning by building e-learning. And of course, go on YouTube, go on LinkedIn, go on ATD, go on the e-learning heroes community, and I promise you will find tons and tons and tons of free content that can help you. That's a great question, Jennifer. Thanks so much for asking. All right, so our second question comes from ANDREA MULLON. Hey, ANDREA. And ANDREA wants to know, what books or resources would you recommend to help me grow my graphic design skills for e-learning? Great question, and I'm so happy that you mentioned graphic design skills for e-learning. I think there's a lot of people out there, people who are new to the industry, who don't realize that a big component of being a good e-learning designer is also being a good graphic designer and a good visual designer. And it's something that I learned really, really early in my career, that the intersection between what you put on the screen and the content and how it looks brings your whole message together. And so graphic design, visual communications are such important skills when it comes to good e-learning development. So what books or resources would I recommend? First, the first book I would recommend, and it's the book that taught me everything I know about visual design, is Slideology by Nancy Duarte. It's like my graphic design Bible, even though it's not technically a book on graphic design. It's technically a book on PowerPoint design and slide design, but really at its core, it's just full of tons of practical graphic design and visual communications tips that will teach you a lot of what you need to know. And I'm not joking, it's like a Bible. I have a signed copy on my bookshelf. The other book I would recommend is Visual Design Solutions by Connie Malamed. This is a book published through ATD, and it's a really great book because it brings together visual design and learning into one book. So it helps you understand some of the visual design techniques you might want to use for learning content. Beyond that, what I would recommend that you do is just practice graphic design. Whether you're using PowerPoint or Adobe Illustrator, find a cool graphic online that you like and try recreating it. It's a really great way to help you develop your graphic design skills by practicing graphic design in a low-risk way. So thanks for asking that question, Andrea, and good luck with that. All right, so our next question comes from KRISTEN ZAPP. Hi, KRISTEN, really cool name. And KRISTEN wants to know, do I need a certificate or degree to be competitive in e-learning, and what are employers actually looking for? Ooh, this is a really great question. And this is a question where there is a ton of debate online about whether or not you need a degree to be an instructional designer or an e-learning designer. And here's my opinion. You don't need to agree with this. Nobody needs to agree with this, but this is my opinion. Do I think you absolutely need a degree or certificate? No, I don't think you need one. Do I think it could help you in your career? Absolutely, right? If you go get a master's degree, or if you go all the way and get a PhD, and there's tons of people who have done that, it certainly can help you in your career and help you move up that ladder. But I don't think you need a degree to be an e-learning designer, an instructional designer. And I'm living proof of that. I have a degree in criminal justice. I don't have any formal background in e-learning design or instructional design, but I've learned over the years how to become an e-learning designer and instructional designer through a lot of experience. And so I don't think you need a degree. I don't think you need a certificate. It can certainly help. All right. Now, what are employers actually looking for? The second part of your question. I think our industry is shifting away from employers hiring based off of your years of experience or your formal education credentials. I think more and more employers are hiring for what you can offer them right now, the specific skills that you can offer them right now. And so what I would tell you to do is focus on developing your skills rather than just your credentials. And so that might mean going and getting a certificate, because certificates tend to be more practical in their information. So go get a certificate in articulate storyline or instructional design for e-learning. I find through my research, a lot of degree programs in instructional design are really heavily focused on theory rather than practical application. And so maybe if you do want to invest some money, maybe start with a certificate and see where that gets you, and then decide if you really do need to get a degree or not. So I hope that that helps, KRISTEN, and best of luck. All right, so our final question comes from Rita Smith. Hey, Rita. And Rita wants to know, what are some ways I can find creative inspiration for my e-learning designs? Great question, Rita. You know, the truth is, inspiration is literally everywhere. I find inspiration in the most obscure, craziest places. I remember one time I was either in an airport or a hotel, and there was this electronic kiosk, and it had all these cool animations with these designs and the content and the text moving in and out. And I sat there, I whipped up my phone, and I sat there and I recorded it for like 10 minutes, and people were staring at me weird. But I got inspiration from it because of the way it presented the content on the screen. So whether it's through some sort of motion graphic that you might see in a hotel or an airport, or a billboard, or a mobile app on your phone, or a website, if you take the time to consciously look for inspiration, you will find it literally everywhere. And so one of the things I always tell people, and what happens to be a huge misconception within our industry, is that people believe every design you make has to be 100% original. And that's not the case. In the world of design, especially visual design, there's nothing original, right? So it's okay to go get inspiration from others. The important thing is that you make it your own. So go out and start looking for it in unexpected places, apps, websites, mobile devices, and I promise you will find tons and tons of inspiration. I hope that helps, Rita. Thanks for asking. All right, I think that's all we have time for today. As always, I want to send a big, big, big thanks to everyone who submitted a question for this month's episode. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to get alerted the next time we publish our next episode of ATD Ask a Trainer, make sure to click that subscribe button below and make sure to check out the ATD Ask a Trainer advice column by clicking on the link in the description. My name is Tim Slade, and until next time, I will see you around.